Good morning, everybody. I extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Ashish Pal. He's a machine learning engineer at Twilio. He is an innovative data scientist with 6+ years of experience in identifying opportunities and strategizing methods for improvement using artificial intelligence and data science. He is an AI ML coach and mentor and impacted over 2,500 plus students and working professionals in transforming their career in data science domain. He has a rich experience in taking machine learning and data science solutions from prototype to production. He is an highly accomplished in influencing decision makers and driving profitability across multiple divisions by adopting analytics and AI solutions. He is eager to bring expertise to growing organization in challenging new role. I extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Ashish on behalf of Ramaya Institute of Technology and on behalf of the members of the student induction program session. I once again welcome you. I request you to start your presentation.
Sure. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Anita, for providing this opportunity. I'll just share my screen and get started. Hope everybody can see my screen. Yeah, okay. So thank you for the warm introduction. Yeah, I've been working into this domain from roughly around 6 years. Currently working as a machine learning engineer at Tulio. Apart from that, I've worked with different companies like Philips, Siemens, Accenture, and I worked with some of the top education institutes like Grad, Create Learning, and work Scalar. So being into this field for mentoring as well. So if you have any question, anything, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, or on my website. Okay, so let's get to the agenda for today's session, right? And which is artificial intelligence. And hope everybody know this world, right? Everybody is curious about this world, what is AI? But I would like to bring your attention towards some other things as well before we go to the AI. So we'll have a more broader perspective about this whole industrial revolution, which we are talking about, right? Because this is not something a hype, right? People were talking about like, okay, few years back, it was like whether AI is going to be the future or it's just a hype, it will wash away, right? But we have realized that this is not the only technology which is disrupting the way we are doing our businesses, way we are having our products, the way we are living our life, right? Everything around is changing. So let's go back to the history to understand how this revolution has happened and what is there for us in the future also we can understand. So first industrial revolution happened, right, where in roughly around in 1760 to 1830, it lasted almost a century, even more than that time frame. And it was the invention of steam engine, which changed everything in the human civilization, right? When we are able to have train and steam engines where we can transport our goods, right? We can produce using steam. We can have you can say the distance between two continents has in the places has become shorter, right? That was the first industrial revolution which has changed human civilization. The second industrial revolution was the again electricity, right, which we all are dependent till now, right? We can't even think of anything which is going to work without electricity. And second industrial revolution, where the assembly line system mass production happened, where we manufactured automobiles, we used machineries to product mass goods, right? That was the second industrial revolution, which we called as secondary sector as well, right? The third industrial revolution which happened, which is the you can say the IT, or you can call as the age of internet, right? Right now we are connected, we are even having this session totally online, right? From anywhere in this world we can connect. So the third industrial revolution is had started almost in 1970-80, and but till 2010 you can say that we have reached to the majority of where internet and computer has become the necessity or the part of human species. Now, if you see the gap also in each industrial revolution, right? It is not lasting much. Like even the industrial revolution of IT, like it's few years back only, and now we have so much new things coming up, right? And that's what we are calling it as like industrial revolution 4. And you can see in that also things are changing very rapidly. So what is industrial 4.0 is the new technology, you can say the new innovations which is coming up, and I'll take you a little bit towards, like, because I know many of the audience which right now I'm talking to are very new age people, and they are very much curious about a lot of things which is happening in this domain. The AI is, again, I can call as like a the brain of this whole industrial revolution, where every, like, you can think of it like a robot, right? It can have its arms, it can have its other locomotive things, it can talk, it can communicate, but the brain is the main thing, right? As we humans are also having, the most important part is our brain. So if you see in that perspective, AI is like their brain, and there are a lot of other technologies which is which is like becoming much bigger and bigger, which is like blockchain, the metaverse, IoT, 3D printing, the complete cloud technologies, quantum computing, right, and so on. So if anybody, if you are kind of interested, you can look around in that, and they're also kind of mix of multiple technologies, which is part of Industrial Revolution 4.0. Okay, so we'll move towards our next thing, which is Industry 4.0 and AI, how it is changing. So before getting into what is AI and how it works, what are the different applications which we see, I just want you to see around us, right? How things have changed in few years, and what is the main crux from that, right? If you see how the way we shop has changed, right? From a kirana store, we have moved to the retail stores out there, chains right there, right? Where we just go and pick up a basket and we just roam around and do that. And if you see the way we communicate, right, it has changed. The way our mobile phones have is to be, it's no longer a simple mobile phone. It's like a smartphone. So the whole communication, the way we used to communicate in a decade has changed. Look at the way we used to have like a small speakers, right? It's not longer a small speaker, it becomes a smart speakers where you can talk to them, you can communicate to them. They are not mere just a speaker, they are more than that. If you look at the healthcare, right, the earlier it used to be some devices which used to monitor maybe our blood pressure. Even the only the doctors or the clinicians can use them. Right now we have smart wear gadgets which can monitor almost a lot of things, and we can get the live update from that, right? Even sports, right? If you look at the cricket, there was no fancy analytics and no fancy devices out there which can give you the real time analysis, right? But you right now, you see from anywhere you can see, and you can get the data, and you can analyze what is going to be, and what was the decision taken, what is good or not, right? A lot of things we have. Again, like how we used to again communicate, not only on the phone or mobile, but if you see how we have connected to the different part of world, right? We have so many things which is getting connected, which is even our every device right now we are having right now, maybe in your home or in your offices, are kind of interconnected to each other. If not, they are coming up where every device is going to talk to each other, right? And last but not the least, which I'll gonna talk about, like if you think about AI, what is the first thing which comes to your mind is like self-driving car, Tesla, right? That's the biggest application which we actually seeing it, and in the few years we'll be seeing going down. Maybe in India it's going to be the future, right? And the way used to have just a simple transportation mode of transportation, small cars, it has transformed the complete sector itself, just by having a self-driving car, and you no longer have to drive the car itself, right? So you can see the shift, right? And the major reason for that this shift is, first of all, the technology and the data which we have used, and we have made our system smarter, right? So one thing which you can see in all these things, like the products and the systems has become more smarter, and the way they have become more smarter is in all by using AI, machine learning, and different algorithms which is running behind them to make a more you can say cognitive decisions. Okay, this was a little bit how things have changed. Right now, I just want you to see, like, just look around yourself. Just open your phone. Just look at the apps which you are using right now, like every day. Whether it's a social networking site, right? There is no social networking platform which is not using some of the data science or AI feature. Look at the how we are using different travel apps, which gives us recommendations, different fare, different offers, right? They are giving us different travel destinations. If you look at the Uber, Ola, Lyft, right? All these are the way we commute nowadays, right? They give us the real time tracking of our cab, give us the real time tracking when the ride is going to be over. Everything we get, it's more of a real time. The food we are order, the moment we order a food, right? They tell us like when the food will get delivered, and most of the time they are pretty accurate, and a lot of other things. Even if you use Amazon, Flipkart, eBay, all these apps which you are consuming right now, right, is using your data and making some smart predictions and maybe a recommendation for you, right? So if you see the YouTube, Instagram, you see the Instagram reels, right? The way its main function is to be more interactive with you. So the algorithm has to be more and more smarter. So they give you the content which you like, and then you spend more time on that. Some of the other things which you right now might not be aware directly or seeing it, but they are actually getting used is mostly in industrial automation, the robotics part, and to some extent the smart home systems, right? They all are getting more and these devices were there. Some of them were being used manually by the operators, but now these machines are becoming more and more smarter, and in some of the applications they have automated almost everything. Like if you go to the warehouses of Amazon and all, there is being only robots who are moving the the boxes, right? It's almost a single of a two-person who's operating the complete warehouse. There is no human is there. So you can Google out. Even Amazon and other delivery people are trying out the drones to deliver your packets at your home only. So these kinds of things are going on, which is completely transforming the way which we used to have, right? Again, some of the things which if you see as the products right now we are consuming, right? Like maybe you're the trimmer or the food processors you are having, the television you are having now, they are AI enabled. The washing machine, the fridge, every other device is becoming more and more smarter. And the reason behind is they are having the data about you, and they are making cognitive decisions based on the data which you are providing, and they are becoming more and more smarter. So this is a little bit machine learning around you, right? And if you look at the crust of AI and machine learning is the underlying data which they are consuming. So if you see like engineering, right, we all are going to be in any of the engineering field, right? And what is the best part about being an engineer is to make product or make up or solve a problem, or make a product which can solve a human problem, right? Like for example, like cars, right? That was the biggest you can say invention or for the humankind. And maybe you talk about ships, you talk about airplanes, you talk about train. And in terms of softwares right now, right, we are having this, maybe somebody has made it Zoom. We are using Microsoft products, we are having internet, Google. All these are software products, right? If you talk about civil engineering, there's people are making huge length uh, bridges, landscape, the biggest building in the world, right? So all these are engineering mm, masters, right? Which they have used some kind of logic, they have used some kind of algorithm, they have used some kind of their data to build that thing, right? Now, if you can give that intelligence or the data to a machine, and it can make some prediction, or it can make some decision for you, or it can help you in making a decision, right? That's where the whole data science and machine learning perspective is there. And it's getting used in across all the industries. Okay, so before moving on to where it is getting impacted, I'll talk about. So I just want to give you a little heads up how I've structured this talk, because I want to talk about how data science and AI is impacting different engineering domains, right? But first, we'll talk about what is AI, right? Just I can't interact, get some feedback from you guys, but just think what comes to your mind when you think the word AI, right? And how it is impacting different businesses. We'll talk about that, right? Because in the end, even if you make a car, right, it's going to be in automobile sector, right? No software company. Maybe now if it's like a self-driving car, some software company would like to buy it. But think in that terms, right? If you are a kind of domain person who are working in a particular domain, right? For example, you have made a watch, right? So now there's a software plus an electronics company who would be interested in that particular device. So we'll talk about business first, and then we'll go into the engineering domain. Okay. So what is AI? So think. So I'll come directly to the maybe what you say the different the definitions which is there in internet, and then we'll talk about a little bit about in the simplest term what exactly the AI is, right? So if you think a artificial intelligence, right? So if you look at the word intelligence, intelligence is the word which is being coined, or you can say it's been you can say highly connected with humans. Okay. uh, why? Because we human are the most intelligent species on this planet. Okay. And if we make any machine intelligent, or even give some of that intelligent quotient which is there by or which is present with most of the humans, right? If any machine can do that, then will call that machine as like an AI enabled machine, or that can do the task which any you can say a more smarter machine it is. Like it's not no longer just a dummy machine. So that is the one biggest part about you can call any system an AI enabled system or not, right? So how you can distinguish. Otherwise, if you see if any of the human related thing what we humans are really good at, right? We are really good at making decisions. We are really good at uh, learning, understanding, and memorizing, and at the same time taking again some cognitive decisions, right? We are good at moving, and we are good at a lot of other things which you can see like problem solving. We can learn quickly things. So if all those things a machine can do and take action, right, then we can call that particular machine as AI. It's a very broad term. Not every machine you can call it's an AI. And there are also some terms like generalized AI, right? And or what is like there where most of the people get confused with it. So people think like AI is like your robot like Chitti, or maybe a transformer, right, which will do anything which you want, right? But this is not the thing. Most of the machines or AI we are right now working on is like a very specific or niche domain kind of AI. Like for example, your Siri, or you can say your Alexa, right? It's a communication. If you ask them something, they will try to answer. But you can't say, "Hey, go and bring some coffee to me," right? They can't do that. Or at the same time, if you are talking or if you're using a Tesla, right, and you can't just communicate and have a maybe if there is some smart device out there, but you can't have anything general and can talk to them. Its task is to drive, right? So that's the difference between a complete humanoid or a kind of person which will enact like a human and an AI devices, right? So you have to be a little bit understanding. So again, if you think how machine learns, right? If you just see how a baby learn from a small age, right? That's the best time when they learn a lot of things, because they have the maximum neurons to capture whatever it's happening. So you see a child, it's always curious, right? It will try out everything which is there in their surroundings, and they'll try to get it. Hey, what is this? What is this? Let me try this. Let me eat it. Right? They are no longer having any biases or any kind of reference to anything which they see or eat or thing, right? So just have an experiment. Just give a lemon to a child, right? Obviously, like it's having a sour taste, so he won't like it. But give him a chocolate, right, and he will love it. So most of the child love chocolates, right? So they will have a totally different experience, and that experience gets memorized in their brain. And next time when you'll offer both of them, right, definitely they are going to pick the chocolate for sure, right? And even they will ask that, hey, give me a chocolate, right? So what happened? They have learned and they have realized that, oh, okay, I love chocolate, and it having a very sweet taste, and this is how chocolate looks like, this is how lemon looks like, this is how its color, and right, and in one or two interactions only they know what is chocolate and how much they love the chocolate, right? That's it. That's how quickly we humans can learn. Now same thing if I'll give to a machine, right, and I'll say, hey, this is chocolate, or this is apple, or this is orange, like a two fruits. And see, this is how it looks, this is how it tastes, this is how its structure texture is, this is how its dimension is most of the time, this is how its shape is. And I'll give maybe 100 images of apple and 100 images of orange. And because it needs more data, like we humans have different ways of getting the data. And so that's how it's a little bit. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. I'm getting it. Okay. No, no. I think they're good. So yeah. So that's how you can say the machines learn. It needs lot more data to learn from it, and then it will take the decision out. So how AI is being structured is like just giving a reference, because there are a lot of times everything is not AI, and everything or AI is being divided into a lot of different branches inside it as well. So AI is like a bigger umbrella which you can talk, like anything which can take a cognitive decision, right, is an AI. But underlying technology which is happening inside is like machine learning. So machine learning is one of the thing which where you can say, right, it is learning from the data. And deep learning is again a specialized branch of machine learning where you use neurons, not any algorithm, to talk about. So not going to detail uh, any detail today, but just to gives you an understanding. Okay, so let's come to some of the applications where you can see AI, and where AI is making a lot of breakthroughs. We can actually see, and in future, you guys could be a part of some of the work which we all is gonna use, consume, or see the products which we are seeing right now, right? So it's important for you to understand from the business perspective, because hey, that's what I talk to you, right? If you are a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, electronics engineer, you could be working in an automobile sector, right? You could be working in a travel or hospitality, or maybe you could be working into core energy domain. You could be working with any technology company, like maybe in uh, who works in manufacturing, or who has products which is there. Maybe in healthcare sector, there are a lot of electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, because we are making machines like robots, or the machines which is healthcare devices like your MRCT. I worked with them. So there's a huge, you can say, a amalgamation of technology experts or engineers is required in different fields, but their domain is specific. Like for example, if somebody is creating a healthcare appliance, so their domain specific, their catering is in healthcare domain. Now if somebody is working in the retail, like for example Flipkart, Amazon, but Amazon wants to work in the like a supply chain optimization, or want to know what more of the logistic, or maybe Amazon is working on tracking some of the devices using the data which is coming up, maybe in audio format or video format, right? Any of the engineer can work in there. Like manufacturing is again a very broad domain, where most of the products which is getting manufactured now, you need a mechanical, electrical, maybe electronics engineer, based on what kind of products they are manufacturing, right? Financial services, right? Again, most of the analytics work which goes there, right? If you are really good at understanding data, making something out of that data, right, you can easily get into that domain. And because it's more about analyzing the trend, right? If you know about more of like a stock market, or understanding the data from the customers, risk prediction, risk score, getting the risk score, whether that particular person will default or not, right? A lot of different domains are there, right? And then energy utility, where you have smart grid systems, you have energy, you have people are working in oil, and those domains which is very much dependent already on data, right? They use the data and make already a lot of decisions based on the data. If you see like whether your system will go down or not, right? You're getting a lot of data to make the decision. So still a lot of processes are manual, but it can be automated, and it can be more. So I'll take I'll take you in every domain, and we'll talk about some of the applications which is kind of happening right now, or maybe a futuristic research is happening. So if you see healthcare, right? Okay, healthcare is a little bit, you can say, a late adopter in terms of AI because of its regulatory terms. Okay, and the prime reason is because it's highly regulated, and you can't just have any model which is working, hey, 80% accuracy, right? I'll say, hey, you're having a cancer, but the accuracy is only 80%. Will you be comfortable if your doctor is talking to you like that? Uh, Hello? Okay.
Now, 10 నిమిషం పట్టుకో.
I'm getting some
Anyway, I'm watching this
disturbance.
one.
Yeah, I'll just look into it.
Yes, sure. So what we were talking is like some of the applications of AI in healthcare. So one of the most important applications which we are right now kind of seeing and working on is early detection of diseases, right? If you look at the chronic diseases like cancer and maybe the tumor, which is, and some other very, you can say, very chronic diseases, and it's very, very, very difficult to to treat if we are not diagnosing them in it at early stage. And that's, you see, right, that's the major problem when you people get into very later stage, and it's very difficult to help the patient out, right? So if we can detect those diseases very early on, only based on the data which we have, based on the symptoms, or based on their life, the lifestyle, right, we can easily predict that, okay, there's going to be a very high chance for a particular disease. And if we can do that, right, we can take a very early precautions, and we can help that patient out. So this is one of the area where a lot of research and work is going on, detecting, early detecting of diseases, right? And it can save a lot of lives, like seriously, it's a very big thing. Another thing is improving decision making, right? Right now you see how the doctors make a decision, right? They see your symptoms, they ask you for some scans and some diagnosis, right, based on maybe your blood report or some MRI, CT, or maybe some other level of test they do, and they see some reports, right? On based on that data, they figure out that whether you have a particular disease or not, and they try to link it with some of based on the symptom and your report. They try to say that you have a particular disease, and now what decision, or what you can say, next further treatment they can give you, right? So the major part is here is like the decision making. Now if we can automate this decision making, or at the same time, they are also having some lot of times a dilemma, and they consult different doctors. Now if we can automate this part, where you can automatically detect from the scan, like, oh, okay, there is a cancer or not, like whether there is a you can say a particular heart disease which is there or not, whether there's a blockage in your arteries or not, right? Based just by looking at the scan, right, you can reduce that whole turnaround time for that patient. Now you just go for a scan, and maybe in half an hour you get to know that, and even your doctor can verify it instead of waiting it, and he looks at the scan, and there's a whole lot of manual things in that, right? If we can improve the decision making, there would be a faster outcomes and faster treatment for, and people would be like patients will be, you can cater more patients, it would help the whole you can say healthcare sector in a bigger way. Another thing is connected care, right? If you have, like, right now we have like smart watches, and there are all of other devices which are kind of connected, you can have a lot more data about the patient, and can have more insights. Drug discovery, again, it's a very niche things. Right now we have seen, right now, like for COVID, right, uh, we have vaccines coming out there, so there are a lot of different uh, mm, uh, data is being used to make those discoveries, so we can speed up. There are a lot of packages which is available which can help in doing that, but again, it's a very domain specific thing. And then robotic surgery, you would have heard of it. So right now it's still manually, but it has a lot of features which is getting automated. So yeah, these are the few things in healthcare. When we're talking about healthcare, like, how we can forget about the COVID-19, right? We all are so much impacted because of this, and let's see how AI has kind of helped in some of the things in coping up with the COVID-19. So if I'll see the radiology, right? If you see the major symptom which we have seen right now in COVID-19 was the lungs are getting impacted, right? And it's very, very difficult to make out. So this is how the typical, you can say, a CT scan looks like, right? And you can imagine how difficult it is for a radiologist and doctors to make out from those scans, right? They are pretty expert on that. But still, now imagine you have hundreds of scans coming up, but it's not feasible for any human to go more than 10, 15 scans a day, right? It's very difficult for them to get all these things manually out. But now imagine if you have a software, an AI-enabled software, which can run and can predict like, hey, looks like it's a COVID impacted patient, or it's not like a symptom for the COVID just by the scan. You can reduce the turnaround time to like almost 90% time you can reduce, right? And you can help lot more patients out there. So they have kind of used some AI-enabled softwares which uh, came up during that time only, right? Which you can say something like that, like AI detected thing, and then you can make a fast decisions. Again, drug discovery. So there's a huge software. If you guys want to explore, Nvidia itself has provided Petabricks, which is there, which helps us in genomics drug discovery part, where you can but it's very domain specific. Those who have understanding of the drugs and DNA part can use these packages and can create an AI enabled algorithms to do that. Okay. Then last is not least is mostly it's like in robots being getting deployed and drones are being used to help the patients and sanitize the area. So, but again, this is a long journey. I think we still need to make them more smarter. Okay, so this was on the healthcare part. There's still a lot of work going on. If you want to know more, you can read some more stuff which is happening in healthcare. Let's come to the retail. The retail is very fast adopter of AI. If you'll talk about it in terms of adoption of AI, why the risk is very low, right? Either you will buy or not, right? It's not a human, you can say, a life which is getting impacted directly. So AI in retail, if you see, the analytics was being used from from many years also. Like if you go to a retail market, the way they have put their products, right, you will see there is a kind of science behind it, which is also called as basket market analysis. If you see, right, which product you should place near to which, and at what products you should put near to the billing counter. Everything has a science, and they keep on rotating based on the marketing, and everything is there, right? But it has become a little bit more on that, right? First of all, and AI and retail, I'm talking about even the your e-commerce side as well now, because most of the purchases are happening on your phones. Right now you're having Amazon, Flipkart, or maybe a big basket, and everything is in phone. So the biggest thing is recommendation, what products you're recommending to the customer, and if he is going to buy that product and also you are making profit out of it, right? That's a win-win situation for both of them. So biggest applications which is running because from the recommendation engines. Then fraud detection, checking whether there's a particular transaction happening with fraud or not, the payment mode they have used is correct. Inventory management, like when you're putting something on your shelf and you're, even if you're putting on a website, do you have the right way of managing inventory? Like if somebody orders 100 product today and you don't have it in your, you can't ship it, right? It's not going to be a good business. Then customer sentiment analysis, whether customers are happy with you, taking the right sentiment, understanding it. Price optimization, right? Whether the same product is getting sold at very low price at your competitor site, obviously most of the customer will go there. So how to have a real time price optimization, and a lot of other things like merchandise, what kind of brands you are putting, and then which brands is giving you more advertisement and all. So that's what these whole platforms are like Nike, Amazon, and all is all like they are the platforms who are providing you all the different brands out there. So how you can get the maximum data, use the maximum data of the customers, and we give the maximum business out there. So these are the few areas where you can say they're using data to give a lot more insights to the business and helping clients out there. Finance, right? Finance was not new to the, at least the analytics world again, because it's all about number game, right? It was all about predicting the future, predicting a risk, and predicting whether any particular transaction is happening is right or not, right? That's what all like banks and uh, you can say the whole stock market thing is like, to analyze the risk can make money out of it. Making sure every transaction which is happening when you are making a payment is you are the real customer who are making. It's not a fraud, right? But now you can imagine the way the transactions has happened. Now every other transaction is happening now is in online mode, and there's a huge chances of getting uh, fraud, right? Because you can't just see and see whether it's not a no simple node, right, which you can scan, which is true. It's like the real transaction which is happening. Now if you are making, or if there is any other fraud or hacker has made the transaction, it's very difficult to just look into that. So there are a lot of applications where the fraud detection, the bots are there, and they try to analyze the account risk score, give a risk score for every transactions or which is happening, and whether there is a kind of fraud or not. Then at the same time they are looking at the risk analytics of, if I talk about stock market, that's a totally different in finance domain, where bots are there who go and place orders real time and try to get maximum profit for their customers. Risk analytics, whether the particular portfolio, whether this should reduce some, sell some stocks, or whether buy a particular stock, and looking at the historical data, make where the market is going to be. At the same time, if you see, right, the biggest money banks make from, I don't know if you guys know, right, it's not from selling all these things, selling loans, right? That's why we every day we get a call from some of the other company and bank, and they're saying, hey, do you want a loan or not, right? Because that's from where the interest, from where they make the money. So now there are millions of customers a bank is having. They can't just go directly call them. That's what they do. I don't know how this is there, but the main thing is to focus and directly get to those customers who are going to be the right perspective, or who are looking, and you think like at least 10% of those people, if I can figure out from my customer, who are my customer, or the data of customers I have, and they if I'll offer them a good loan and you can say deal, they are going to turn up, right? Instead of calling every other person out there. So I'm reducing my all cost, and I'm predicting what is the right customer for me. So these are the few applications which is running around finance domain, which is very much related to the money transactions and the data which they have. Okay, cool. Again, if you look at the travel, how we used to travel across the world, it's like, from example, like right now I'm just looking up to book a place, and then I'm looking how I'm going to reach there, to how I am going to, where I'm going to stay there, and then where I'm going to travel in that area, and then how I'll come back to that, right? There's a whole lot of things out there, right? So whole travel industry is all about gathering the data from multiple sources. Like if you're seeing an ad on Instagram, and then you're tracking down, you are looking at that particular place, then how you're going to book it. So there's a whole journey of you. So there's a lot of data, and at the same time, people, the travel agencies which is there, maybe right now there are a lot more, like Make My Trip, Go Abibo, and all. So their main thing is to understand your behavior when you want to book, give you the right recommendation, right package. So you will like to make a booking. Once you make a booking, everything goes on to that. Like check whether there's an availability, book for you, giving your feedback back, and then getting your, how was your whole trip, getting the feedback, and then that working on it. So again, the huge analytics part is there. If you look at right now, even Marriott and some hotel in UK and all, they have deployed robots out there now. So the human interactions is becoming less and less. So the robot will come to you. I think in Bangalore also they have put one in one of the hotel. It's there, but it's not that active as how it's there in UK. So it will take your all luggage. It will take you to through the lift. It will take you to the room, and it will place your luggage, and it will go back. So it's like exactly a human who is helping you in taking to your room, asking if you need anything. And yeah, it's almost, you can say, you're talking to a human, right? But that's how a lot more things can be done. But yeah, I think this is the starting of how we are even living in with robots and cyborgs, right? So this is how a lot of domains are getting changed. Agriculture, I think, is a huge opportunity, especially for India, because the way we are we are seeing right now, things are happening, right? Not many things are under control. Farmers are not able to get the best out of their money, the land, and the resources they are putting up, right? Because of less of data and the knowledge, right? And the biggest problem in agriculture sector is two things, like the weather. It's not so much predictable, like it's not so much in control, and rain and water part, right? These are the two things. But what if we can have a lot of data and can use those data to make a controlled decisions? Now you can see, then it's more of like a win-win. So right now, a lot of startups are working on this field, and a lot of companies are looking at using the different kind of data and helping out in agriculture. So another, you just look at the process of how it works, like pest control. If you can give the optimum amount of pest, maybe in what kind of area, land, and particular crop you need, right? Instead of just throwing on the random basis, and even no human intervention, right? No human is getting impacted with that pest also, right? Directly the robot is going and doing that, or a machine which is doing that. Again, a huge looking at the crop yield, looking at whether it's ripe or whether it's the right time, and you can use just some camera-based sensors to understand the whole crop, having the data from the forecasting and whether it's going. So if you already have a very high prediction that it's going to rain tomorrow, right? Why you really want to worry about and how much is the rainfall is going to be? So you can take all those decisions, real time data about the soil, and all those data you can get from the IoT, and then understanding what kind of crop you should choose for your next farming. So that's actually required, and the demand is there in the market, or there's a high demand for there in the market, so you can have get the best price for it, right? There are a lot of things, and even the huge robots you can deploy if you have a very big farm, and they can automatically do a lot of things like sowing, cutting out your crops and all. So huge you can say, I can say, huge opportunity out there and a lot of scope, because not every player is just getting into this, and still, especially in India, there's a lot of scope in there. Okay, auto, how we can forget about automobile, right? Because that's the biggest thing comes to our mind, like the Tesla self-driving car when we talk about uh, AI, right? So if you think AI is, so if you see right now, every car, like the new cars which is coming up, is more and more smarter already, right? If you're not talk about self-driving car, they have a lot more sensors. Like right now, you have that AVD where auto making braking thing it do when it detects some I think in XUV 700 or some new features have come, right? And if you see the Mercedes, right, there's auto parking feature where automatically it parks, right? It's there in India only, you guys can see that, right? When it comes to Tesla, now it has reached to another level where you do not have to touch it, the steering, and it automatically drives it based on the whatever navigation you have put, right? So that's how the way we are going to commute is going to change. Okay. So we have talked about a lot of different fields. Let's talk about some of the things where we humans have thought like no machine or anybody can do better than us, right? Even AI can do into those domains as well. Like for example, creating arts. Now, art is a very you can say like it's not some kind of rule-based things, right? It's like more of like how an artist try to portray his things onto the canvas, right? Now AI is also using based on different data and then trying to coming up with different arts, and it's getting sold. So yeah, AI is being used in creating arts, is used in getting music, generating music. So there are some packages available, but it's still a very niche field. If somebody is having a domain knowledge, can use that knowledge to use that data to generate something from the AI things. If you see right now, like for example, a lot of different apps are coming up who helping us in your real time fitness, and yeah, even your dancing and all, you see, right? A lot of apps are using these features to detect your thing. You can see the next big thing is going to be like a fitness coach, where an AI enabled coach will help you to take any of your lessons out there, right? And it can even track you whether you're doing correctly or not. Sorry. Yeah, how we can forget about the gaming industry, right? So gaming is all about we are when you're interacting with maybe a real person out there, an environment out there, or a bot, right? And now if that bot is not just programmed how it used to be earlier, right? A simple map would be there, and it will have limited uh, you can say limited points it will go, and you can easily decode it after a certain point, right? But now if you are in an AI space, now bots are becoming smarter as you are also improving. So at the same time, it's never going to be a like until you are an expert, you won't be able to complete that level of that game, right? Because machines are becoming, and they might create new and new environment in even AI. So this is a complete different world where uh, bots are using the whole tactics and becoming more smarter at the same time when you're playing with them. Yeah, as I talked about sports also, right? There's huge analytics which is used right now. I think if you would have heard of it, like there's in Bangalore, Anil Kumble Stadium Academy is there. So they have collaborated with Microsoft, and they have put some chips on bats, and they're using that analytics to understand the behavior of the person who's playing and how that's working. So at that level, the analytics is happening, and you can get to know a lot more things before going into the field about the team, how they work, what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses, and at the real time for when for the cricket also, right? They can have a very real time correct decisions based on whether the person is out, whether it's no ball or not. So a lot more automation and data use is there in sports. Okay, another application which you guys, I think everybody familiar is the chatbot as the second most, mostly you can say, right? Whether it's these Siri, Alexa, Google Home. This is a one kind of chatbot, but you see there every other company is having a small chatbot option where they're getting into the, hey, you're having some problem, and when you want to communicate to any uh, whether they're having any problem, right now I have a booking with this particular flight and I don't know whether it's correct, or I want to change something, whether I'm not happy with the service and want to talk to the customer care. Now talking to customer care, where you used to connect to the person and he's like, hey, hello, what is your, give me this your information. Now what is your problem? They'll say, hey, I'm having this technical issue, and they're like, okay, let me transfer your call to the technical team. Now technical team will take it, and then they will say, analyze this, hey, do this, do this, do this. Okay, still it's not resolved, can I open a ticket for you? Then they will open a ticket for you, and then there could be a follow-up, right? It's a whole cumbersome, like nobody will like to go through that, right? People don't have time. So now when you have a chatbot, now uh, good thing about one thing is chatbot, like they already have a lot of information about you, like you don't have to repeat yourself. Then they can automatically try to break down to your problem, and you don't have to communicate to anyone. Like wait in first of all, the biggest problem is like you don't have those many human resources out there who can take so many calls, but you can have millions of chatbots running parallelly, right? That is no cost itself, and that's not a problem. And most of the time they can solve a very small basic problems or queries which you have. You can just read through it and then can tell you the information, and that's where you can see the applications of chatbot is getting adopted in most every industry, and uh, every business is out there is using more for like chatbots, and humans we are also getting more accustomed to talking to chatbots instead of talking to humans, right? So this is which is there. Cool. So talked about a lot of good things, but some of the I can say some of the good innovations which has happened, which is being taken wrongly, is like again deep fake and all, right? Where you don't have understand when you can use an AI, it has reached to that level where you can create some of the images or videos or things which is not real, and that creates a problem between. But now there are some mechanisms where we can detect whether it's right. But when you spread out the news, when you get the video out there, whether you have actually deep fake the image of a Donald Trump, which could be a video of any other person. Now it's very difficult for some normal human being to understand whether it's a real video, fake video, right? So there were some of the negative aspects of AI comes, where we as a human have to be more sensible how we are going to use these technologies. And going forward, you will see when you actually get into things, you will see a lot of different applications which is there, which initially started off with something really good, but can be misused by a lot of people. So that's where the regulations come. The knowledge about AI and technology and how your data is getting used is really important. We as an engineer who are going to work on that is also important, but as a consumer also, like everybody is using now and is getting used because your data is getting used at the same time. So you should be really aware about how when you're sharing your data, when you're looking at, okay, this particular app is asking for this particular thing, or how you should understand like how they're going to use their data, and whatever you're seeing is so this is a little bit on about how technology is getting used. Okay, cool. So this was totally about the businesses, how they're, and if you look at 90% different businesses which is having are kind of using some of the engineering technology only, right? When I talked about healthcare, they are using, they talk about automobile, and I talked about retail, finance, and maybe any other domains, right? Sports and other are using multiple domains out there, right? So be open to a lot of domains and see where you think like could be you can make more impact, right? I'll not talk about computer science, IT, and all because that's the core. Most of the things which we have talking about data science, AI, and because it's been getting used through programming, statistics, maths, and analytics tools, and machine learning algorithm itself is a part of more of a computer science only. So I'll not talk about those domains because that's the more core of those domains. I'll talk about some of the domains where people think like, okay, I'm from mechanical, civil, and all. How what are some of the works, but because see, in the end it's like you're solving a problem, so it really doesn't matter. But if you are an expert of a particular domain, you will give more, you'll be helping, or you'll be able to give more. That's what the whole aim is, right? And I've tried to cover some of the things where you can think and solve or start looking into those data and problems if you are really curious or to that, right? So one of the biggest applications of AI in mechanical engineering and across all the products and the machineries, and you can say the automation companies out there, because I work with Siemens and Philips and other core companies. One thing is predicting mechanical failure, right? What is the when you're manufacturing or building or something, if you can predict that when this particular machine is going down, or what is the probability that okay, at this time this machine can go down, I can take up action beforehand only, right? And I can uh, I can solve a lot of problems with that, right? So one of the biggest challenges is this, and if you see the companies like Caterpillar and Land Rover and all big companies who there, right, who have machineries going and oil refineries companies who have their work or machines getting deployed at very critical places, and biggest part is their failure rate is almost like 0.001%, right? It's hardly they that get failed, but when they get failed can impact in a very big way. So you can imagine, right? You have to, once in a rare kind of phenomena, you have to detect and you have to work towards it. So some of the biggest problems, but yeah, given the right kind of data and environment, you can actually get into that. Another thing where you see right now, right? So many of the work which in mechanical is designing products or designing shapes or designing mechanical parts, or you can say even products, right? Like for example, you want to design a chair now. So we already know there are thousands of designs of chair. How you given a material and given a kind of requirement, how you can design a new kind of chair, can you do that, right? So Autodesk has already launched a program which is named Dreamcatcher, and what it offers a feature of generative design. So using this, what you can design is like you can use more of a like hit and trial method, and you can select a design provided by software after observing what would be the trade-off of this, right? So so it's an AI enabled, it automatically generates a lot of design for you, right? And you can decide, okay, this is the plus points of this design, this is the negative points, and whether it's fit my requirement, can I go with this design, right? And you can design anything, right? So being an engineer, what do used to be like, as humans also, right? If you are designing, you can come up with maybe 100 ideas, like max I would say. Like if you're having a team of 10 people, like 100 into 10,000 designs you can think max, right? But if you think of an AI based system or solution, right, it has no limitation, it can come up with 10,000 ideas as well also, right? Given you giving you 1,000 ideas, now it can create 1 lakh designs for you, right? Because it can look at a lot of other permutation and combinations given this data now. So this opens up the you can say unlimited possibilities out there in terms of what you can what you can create with the technology. Now it's up to you what you want to take a decision, obviously, with 10,000 designs, and you have to create one only, right? So you'll pick one. So but it gives you an open that opportunity thing for you. Another thing is like your fluid dynamics thing, where like how things flow and all. Right, I'm totally not very familiar with this domain and fluid dynamics thing, but yeah, it's more about understanding how the fluids are moving and all those things. So yeah, there are a lot of software I think already there which can help you in uh, dealing out with data and create a lot of things. Cool. Again, one of the biggest thing which is not only related to the mechanical but electrical engineering and electronics, and obviously computer science I'm not talking about, but they are the core. Like why I'm talking about that is also, if you look at the quote of Satya Nadella and maybe other people, every company is going to be a software company. And just look at around us, right? Look at one domain or a company right now which is not having a software component for it, right? Even the banks, if you any manufacturing companies, automobile, civil, whose core job is to build buildings out there, right? Or but they are also having software part, like software companies, or they're collaborating with companies and they are having their in-house software teams, right? So there's a layer out there for all the main business is still there, right? For example, if a company who is manufacturing automobile, their main thing is to build cars, but now every company have a software domain, so every company is going to be in the, like it's kind of a software company. So that's why I'm not putting the software, because it's like an underlying layer how you interact with the work you're doing. But looking at the data part and how you can use it and build algorithms and use that brain of it, like that is something which is open to anyone, like because in the end you have to solve the problem. So look at data of IoT data which is coming from robots, machines, right? And design those. Now there are electrical different simulators. These are simulators, right? When you talk about motors and actuators, sorry, actuators, simulators is like when you use those softwares to simulate all those things and get the data and understand those things. So you can get the real time predictions of whether the how the device is working on, whether there's any failure, to what consistency they are working on and all, right? So you can have a lot more automation in those things. So when anything breaks, anything happen, you can take a decision. So uh, this is pretty much about an IoT and data science. A little bit in the electrical engineering part, like these are few things. There's no end to the problems. I'm just giving you some examples so you can start thinking. Smart grid is a very big kind of domain self in the electrical engineering thing. Now you get a lot of data about the power consumptions, right? And you know how much energy you have, how much power is going to be consumed. If you can build a smart grids, you can have a smart meters out there, right? Maybe in every home, you can have a lot more data and you can create, you can consume the power in the most smartest way, right? And it's like you are preparing yourself for some worse situations also, like when the power grid might go down. So it will never go down because you have optimized it and you know it. When there is no much consumption, you can reduce your load, and all those things can be smartly played if you have a huge amount of data and it's getting interconnected. So that's why this is one of the big projects where you can use the data to build a smart grid using that, right? Again, right now when we are talking, there are already people, startups who are working, and things are almost some part of our homes are already in an, you can say, IoT or automated mode, right? The complete home automation is also one of the biggest field where you get to know, like in Bangalore, when the taps are leaking, right? There are already, and a lot of societies are already there, when the water goes down and it's flowing after a certain time, right? You get a notification on your phone that your tap is leaking. Now that is not an AI completely, right? That's sure. That's a sensor which picks up the data and tells you that, hey, after a certain time, if it's flowing, that it looks like more. But you can understand with that data what is the consumption of that particular house, of the society, how much water they do, how much water they kind of gets leak, then how much water they have saved with that particular automation, how much they would have cost, and they can have a little bit more smarter solutions, like based on the thing. Now, when your water, if there is no one at the home, automatically you can cut off the water part, so there is no water flowing unnecessarily. If there is a leakage, then your devices are there. If they're smart enough, they know if there is no one at the home, it will automatically get switched off, right? If you know that you're coming home, it can like automatically the temperature is getting set. Everything is more of like an application what you can use and do with the data, and how much automation you can do. So again, these are some of the applications. Again, when I talk about that, is like the way we are going to commute is not going to be like an automobile. So only a mechanical engineer can think, right? Now, if you think about a car, it's like a software, electrical, electronics, mechanical, to some extent could be a civil, because it's a design and you are going to be on the road and all. Like, so imagine like thousands and lakhs of, like, all the cars are kind of moving around. It's all self-driving car. They can communicate to them also, right? They can understand, okay, where the next car is. So you can think of a, like, when like thousands of cars flowing, they can have the smartest way of navigating through the city also, right? So it's more like all the smart cars are moving, and then they can understand, okay, 10,000 cars are going through this route, so maybe I'll take this route, right? Which will be less, there would be less traffic and all those things. So it's like again an ecosystem which we'll be working on. So there is a lot of applications out there across all the fields, right? Cool. Last, but not the least, is more awards in the civil engineering part. Like if you see right now, still is very limited again, because a lot of work and things are still kind of manual, and it's in again paper form. But start thinking in that, like when you are actually designing the buildings and all, right? The major things which you are using the software, which are kind of helping design. So one part I was talked about, like in CAD, help you in designing the any kind of mechanical design. So similar things are happening in for structural design. And when right now, even there are some algorithms of paper where you just give your map, right, the kind of outlet, or give a space and your requirement, it will automatically design the what kind of houses you like, have two rooms, or you want a 2 BHK. Given a space, right, it can automatically give you 3 4 designs for you, right? Like what the architect do for you when you give, hey, this is my land, what kind of house I can design. Now giving the softwares, it can design in a totally different ways. Giving up, it has a lot more information about what are the kind of different kind of designs available in the space, okay, and how you can do that. Then converting your 2D designs to 3D designs, right? That is also one of the applications. When you are actually just giving a 2D design, now if you can create a 3D design of it and you can actually visualize it, that is also one of the biggest applications for using machine learning to convert that 2D to into 3D. And obviously, when you have a lot of data coming up, you can look for cost optimization, what kind of material you can use, which will give you the best requirement and all those. So a lot of softwares are using in the backend to drive this. Okay, good. So this was pretty much about the different applications of AI in different domains, businesses out there, how AI is impacting, right? Last part, I'll talk about a little bit about what are the different skills and what you guys have, and in the end, if you had any question, you can connect to me directly or through some medium. That will really help, or we can have some other session if you like. But this was the complete domain of, say, different applications, but these are very specific applications you can think, which is a little bit popular. There are a lot of applications of work which is going on based on the business, what exactly they are kind of trying to solve a problem, right? So the only thing, cool. So I'll talk about courses. Okay, so
We'll take the questions at the end of the session. I'll just
sure,
post
sure.
the chat box.
No problem. So I'm almost at the end. So maybe yeah, we can take. So as you have talked about courses, I'll talk about a little bit the skills, not courses, because see, whatever you're covering in your engineering based on your domains, also there are a lot of things are kind of covered, but some of the things which on the top of it, which is very much specifically required for data science and AI. One is, you can say, is the programming. Like at least everyone needs to learn a little bit of the coding, And now coding is not like you have to be like a coder itself, like right, but have an understanding of coding and programming. And for this, the best thing you can pick up is the basic easy programming languages, like maybe Python is a really easy curve, having a really easy curve of learning as compared to other programming language. And in data science and AI world, Python is mostly used almost. So this is a good part about you don't have to be a coder itself, but you should know basic programming for sure. Second thing is statistics. Why is important is like you're dealing with data. You already have a lot of mathematical engineering in your first, second semester, and for like a lot of people, even in third and fourth semester, there's a very advanced level of mathematical engineerings are there. But make sure the statistics part where you're dealing with data and some mathematical algorithms are there, right? Try to uh, have those things and try to see how they are solving some problems and why they are where is their use it. Like I can give a bigger simple example. Like majority of mathematics, which is like algorithms, like your linear logistic, if you've heard of it, and your deep learning neural network is based on simple algorithm like linear your linear equation, y is equal to mx plus c, and everything uh, uh, generates through that only, right? So it's a very basic equation which I think we have learned in 8th and 9th standard, right? So very basic mathematics. So you can go into like statistics is a very big field, but you can go, but at least have your basic statistics and programming covered. Then look at the data part, like then understand the data, what kind of data you're dealing with. Right now, data is, I have not talked about data and things much, but what is the data? Right now in social media, you're seeing images is a data. You're seeing the comments, it's a text, it's a data. You're seeing video, it's having an audio and video, like picture, both. So it's like a mix of both, right? When you're having a structured tabular data, like some Excel data, it's a structured data. In that also there is some age, which is a numerical column, but city, which is a string column. So there's a different kind of data. Understand the data, what it means, and once you have a statistic part, you'll understand what to make it that from data. And then comes to a machine learning part, like where you talk understand different algorithms, how it works. So learn the basics of algorithm, what is the maths behind that algorithm. If I talk about naive bayes, what is naive bayes? If I talk about decision tree algorithm, what is a decision tree, how it works, when you can use decision tree, when you can use linear equation, linear regression or not, right? These are the few things which, like even after 4 years, if you go for any interview and anything, they would be expecting more you to know that, instead of if you have made a very like some sophisticated model or something that is good enough. But if you are not going to be thorough with these things, then that thing will not shine out much, right? And then pick, if you can, if you have reached to that level of knowing completely about machine learning, then look what are the projects which you are going to work maybe in your later semesters, which is based on whether it's based on computer vision or natural language like text. So this is a little bit later on, but these are the basics which you should, I think, most of you are kind of fresh. So focus from at least 1 or 2 years more on programming and statistics and understanding data and see problems around you. So that I'll say courses are, plenty of courses are available online, but I'll recommend you go with this basic whatever you have been covering in engineering, and some online courses and mocks are there. uh, Coursera, Udemy, Udacity, and all. There are a lot of there, but if you just start going, there is a plenty of it. So look where you can get these skills first, best, and then you can look for. Yeah, cool. So I think I'm good. I can take some questions as well. So yeah. So what are the courses we need to study for being a data scientist as well as AI? See, there's a very thin line between a data scientist and AI engineer. So like right now, the job domains, and maybe till the time you're getting passed out, things will become more mature in this. But right now, the work of data scientist is to take a data, create a data science solution. It can use machine learning algorithm, deep learning algorithm, any algorithm, and deliver a solution which can help the business out, right? So nobody and it should be like an easily explainable also, and it can be like you build a model which nobody understand why it is saying, right? Like for example, you are classifying you're saying that whether this person should get a loan or not, right? And you're rejecting persons like this only here and there, right? So nobody will appreciate that kind of model where you can't explain why you have canceled this person's loan, right? So you should have some explainability. So it would be easy for you to go with a simple machine learning model where you can explain, oh, its CIBIL score was less or whatever the reason. But so that's the difference between like a data scientist. You have to create a solution. When AI engineers is or machine learning engineers is a little bit working on algorithm part, right? Where you're creating an algorithm, maybe a research, or like for example, let's say when I was working maybe in medical domain, you are coming up with some algorithm to solve some niche problem, like for example, image segmentation. So if you look at the heart or brain tumor, right, MRI images. So first of all, the data is complicated. Now you have to come up with an automated algorithm which can detect that tumor automatically and can tell whether that particular tumor is cancerous or not, right? So there are some work available, but you have to create an algorithm which can maybe very much accurate with 90% confidence. It can tell and can help radiologists out there, right? That is where you can spend different algorithms, build some algorithm from scratch, which is required. So that is pretty much. So it requires huge domain knowledge as well, plus what do you call is like all this AML experience and knowledge, which is a little bit on the research part. How many more years to wait driverless cars on Indian roads? Reason for delay? I think there are a lot of reasons. It's not the simple one. First of all, the infrastructure, right? Driverless car does not mean like even the EV itself is very difficult right now because we don't have that much infrastructure. So if you have 200, 300-kilometer drive and after that, you are not getting a power station and you don't know if that nearby power station there, what you'll do with that car, right? Well, that's the biggest thing. So it's an infrastructure thing, right? Everything is has to be come with that. So if you look at outside, they have pretty much have a very you can say infrastructure is already built. Now if you can take an EV car, you can swap your battery at every two, like how you will get a petrol pump, right? We can just stop by anywhere, get a petrol pump, same way. So it will come. So same when the EV is coming up in that infrastructure way, now you think of a driverless car is like, first of all, people are ready to accept that, right? What is the rate where you have the proper signals, proper roads where it can drive? There are a lot of infrastructure which comes, and we as a humans are able to adapt to the technologies. Many technologies have come, but as we humans are not ready, or you can say we as a society were not able to get to that level, right? We have discarded it to literate to longer extent, right? So that happens. It will come with its own pace. Smart grid in is used in India. Smart grid, yeah. So it depends like at what level they are using it. The smart meters are also, I think, coming up within concept, and I don't know, some governments are kind of working on where you. So it's not 100% smarter, but they are using that data and try to optimize. So you can see there is many in many areas, and I think most of the places there is less for you can power cuts, less uh, your transformers are getting down and all, right? Because they're using data and they're trying to be pretty much more proactive in taking and making decisions. So there's a less power things because a lot more things are automated now, and they have a lot of digital data which is coming up. So have a real time tracking of how much load is going on there. But depending upon what area and what kind of infrastructure they have. But yeah, it's a, like an in progress thing. So there's a lots of generated in different sectors where exactly it is sorted. All this data is available for analysis. I'm not getting this question, but yeah, the huge amount of data is getting generated. The biggest problem first is like now business is trying to understand. See, first problem is digital data. Healthcare is most of the problems are getting solved here, especially in healthcare in outside world is like they already have the provision of having a digital data. We are getting prescriptions on a paper and then nobody track it, right? Even a lot of now with this new startups and all things are coming, and they are now making that prescription whole data digital. So at least first of all, you have a data into a digital format which anybody can consume. That's the first challenge. Now second thing is that how you're storing the data, right? Nobody has thought of how the data is going to consume, so they were storing it like that only, like whatever you format you want or whatever. Now slowly industries, every business, every company, really, we have to store a data into particular format or things, or at least it should be easy for a data scientist or a data engineer to get the data, grasp it, and then use that data, right? So that maturity is also coming up. People are realizing that we should store every kind of data which is possible, because we don't know what we can use it for future. So the data storing part is also coming up now. Every business and things are storing data into different points and format, because they have realized data is the new oil, right? Right now you go to social media platform, every single track, like how YouTube algorithm works on like that only. Like if you have watched a video for a 10 second, and if you have watched a video for 5 minutes, and if you have watched the complete video, accordingly they look at what kind of your level of interaction with that particular channel, the kind of content, and the person you are watching and what kind of video, right? Accordingly the algorithm will try to pick up, okay, he's not liking maybe a travel video, or maybe a review video of any particular product, or okay, he's liking more of that kind of content, will recommend, right? So that's the level of what kind of data you are picking up and using that for your business benefit. So yeah, it's there. It's just stored at most of the companies store their data in their wherever they're running it, right? So different databases are there, depends upon what kind of data they have. So there are different databases on this store, maybe in the cloud, like somebody's using their own in-house server, so they will store there. Like how you're storing your data, right? You're storing your data. So think you as a business, you're storing your data maybe in your laptop, which is your local. You're storing in your data in your hard disk, like with some big data, right? You are storing your data in your cloud. Your phone, mobile devices have a lot of apps where they are storing your data. So similarly, companies store their data into whatever infrastructure they are using, and then that's how they do. Cool. So any other question? Any other doubt?
I think there were some of the questions which were posted to me. I put it in the chat box.
Sure, I think yeah, if it is relevant, yeah, we can pick.
Uh, uh, you'll conclude. Is it over?
Yeah, I think from my side, the topics which I wanted to cover is done. Yeah, if there is any other further question or anything, which yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah, I think there were no more questions.
Sure, sure,
We can wind up the session.
sure.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Ashish.
Thank you.
Sincerely, thank you for delivering a very wonderful session.
Thanks a lot.
It is already recorded. It will be available on the YouTube also in our
Okay.
official channel.
Sure, sure,
Again,
sure.
thank you so much, and kindly share the feedback link to me through WhatsApp or through the mail.
Yeah,
So that
I'll mail you the
students.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks everyone.